Guys, do you remember the heartbreaking story of Leo and Luna? The two Roblox players who went through a literal living nightmare just because they wanted to turn their virtual friendship into reality? Let's do a quick recap because what happened before is absolutely unforgettable. In part 1, 14-year-old Leo stole money to fly and meet his Roblox friend Luna, but his plane crashed into the ocean and he barely survived. In part 2, a guilty Luna did the same thing by taking a ship, but it also sank in a violent storm. In part 3, we discovered the miraculous truth. A brave elderly man gave his own life jacket to Luna, pushing her onto a floating wooden table. She survived for 3 agonizing days at sea before being rescued and brought to a small coastal hospital. When she finally woke up, she used the hospital Wi-Fi to log into Roblox, changing her status to green just to send a message to Leo that she was alive. The two families finally met at the hospital. Leo and Luna stood face to face for the very first time in the real world. No pixelated avatars, no screens. Just two kids who had stared death in the eyes. They apologized, promised never to keep secrets from their parents again, and everyone thought the nightmare was finally over. But guys, they were wrong. Life isn't a video game. In Roblox, when you make a mistake, you can just click the respawn button and try again. But in the real world, you only get one life. And sometimes, destiny plays a game that is far more disturbing than any horror server. Today, I bring you the official, highly requested Part 4. What happens next will completely shock you. It is a story of facing your deepest fears, a second vacation, and a mysterious phone call that changed everything. But before we unlock this next chapter, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. I constantly bring you the most chilling and real stories from the Roblox community, and trust me, you do not want to miss how this one unfolds. Let's dive directly into Part 4. The atmosphere in the hospital room was heavy, thick with emotion. Luna's parents had just arrived, their faces covered in tears, running into the room to embrace their daughter who had literally come back from the dead. And standing right there by the door was Leo. After months of talking behind computer screens, after typing thousands of messages on WhatsApp, and after building a massive virtual life together in Bloxburg, they were finally standing in the same room. When Leo and Luna looked into each other's eyes, the entire world seemed to stop. For a few seconds, neither of them could say a single word. The shock was too deep. But then, slowly, a soft, genuine smile broke across Leo's face. Luna, with tears streaming down her pale cheeks, smiled back. The happiness they felt in that exact moment was indescribable. They were alive. They were together. It felt like an absolute miracle. For the next few days, Luna stayed at the hospital to fully recover from her hypothermia and exhaustion. Leo and his parents visited her every single day. To help pass the time, they did what they did best. They opened up Roblox on their phones. But this time, it was different. They sat side by side on the hospital bed, sharing laughs, playing their favorite adventure games, and recreating their virtual Bloxburg house right there in reality. Slowly but surely, the color returned to Luna's cheeks. Her strength came back, and the doctors finally gave her permission to be discharged. It was time for Luna to go back to her own hometown. But as the day of departure arrived, a dark cloud of fear settled over Luna. The thought of traveling back home terrified her. When her father told her it was time to pack her bags for the airport, Luna's entire body began to shake. She grabbed her father's hand, her eyes wide with pure panic. Please don't make me get on a flight," Luna whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "I don't want to go in the sky. I am so scared. What if something happens to our plane? What if the engines fail like Leo's flight? What if we crash into the ocean again? I can't do it. I just can't." Seeing their daughter in such deep psychological pain, Luna's parents felt a sudden rush of frustration and anger. The stress of the past few weeks finally boiled over. Luna's father turned around, looked directly at Leo, and his face grew strict and cold. He pointed a finger at the 15-year-old boy. "Leo, look at what you have done," Luna's father said, his voice loud and full of blame. "This is all your fault. If you hadn't stolen that money and taken that flight in the first place, our daughter would have never tried to follow you. She would have never been lost at sea. You brought this curse into our lives." Hearing those harsh words, Leo's heart completely shattered. It felt like a physical blow to his chest. He lowered his head, staring at the floor as hot tears filled his eyes. In his mind, a dark voice started repeating, "He's right. It's my fault. I ruined everything." But before the silence could stretch on, Luna stepped forward. She placed herself directly between her father and Leo, wiping her tears away. "No, Dad, stop it! You are wrong!" Luna shouted defensively. "Leo is not to blame for this. When I told him I was coming, he begged me to stop. He told me it was too dangerous. He told me his house was like a prison and that I should stay home. I didn't listen to him. I stole the money because of my own stubbornness. It was my choice, not his." The room went completely silent. Luna's parents looked at their daughter, realizing that she was right. They sighed heavily, letting go of their anger. They hugged Luna tightly, explaining that they were just deeply traumatized by the fear of losing her. Eventually, after hours of comforting words and gentle reassurance from both families, Luna found the courage to step onto the plane with her parents. Because her mother and father were holding her hands tightly on both sides, her intense fear slowly began to fade away during the flight. She made it back to her hometown safely. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Time heals wounds, and slowly, a beautiful normalcy returned to both of their lives. Leo and Luna went back to their daily school routines. Every morning, they would wake up, attend their classes, and hang out with their real-life classmates. But the moment the school bell rang and they arrived back home, their favorite routine began. They would instantly log into Roblox, join the same server, and spend their evenings playing together. Their friendship didn't fade. In fact, surviving those dark accidents made their bond tighter than ever before. And just like that, an entire year passed by. It was now the summer of 2026. Leo had grown into a mature 16-year-old boy, and Luna was now a bright 16-year-old girl. They were older, wiser, and the school year had just officially ended. The highly anticipated summer vacations were finally here. For teenagers who love gaming, summer vacation is paradise. Leo and Luna were incredibly excited. Every single morning, the very moment they opened their eyes, they would grab their devices and log on to Roblox. Some days, they would play high-intensity adventure games, fighting monsters and leveling up their characters. Other days, they would just join a quiet roleplay server, sitting their avatars down on a virtual bench, talking about their lives, their dreams, and their future goals. But one quiet, rainy afternoon, the atmosphere changed. They had been gaming for 5 hours straight, and a heavy sense of boredom started to creep into Leo's room. He stared at Luna's avatar standing next to his in the game, and a deep feeling of longing hit him. He opened the text chat and typed a message. "Luna, I was just thinking, I really wish we could meet up again in real life. Like a proper, normal vacation. No secrets, no drama." On the other side of the screen, thousands of miles away, Luna's fingers froze over her keyboard. The moment she read the word meet, her mind went into a sudden, terrifying spiral. Images flashed across her mind like a horrific slideshow. She remembered the deafening sound of Leo's plane engines failing. She remembered the visual of her own passenger ship tilting into the dark, violent ocean waves. She remembered the absolute terror of being trapped in a pitch-black cabin as freezing water rushed under the door. Luna's heart started racing. She quickly typed back, her text full of panic. "Leo, are you completely crazy? Have you lost your mind? We don't need to meet in person ever again. Think about what happened last time. We talk every single day on Roblox. We FaceTime each other every night. We share our whole lives across the screen. Isn't this enough for you? Why do you want to tempt fate again?" Leo sat back in his chair, reading her message. He sighed gently, then picked up his phone and placed a direct voice call to her. "Luna, listen to me calmly," Leo said, his voice soft but incredibly serious. "Those accidents were a whole year ago. We were kids and we did things the wrong way. But we are 16 now, and honestly, I need to tell you the truth. Ever since that plane crash, I have developed a severe phobia of flying. Every time I even think about an airport, my hands start sweating. I realize that if I never force myself to step onto a plane again, I will remain a coward for the rest of my life. I will live in fear forever. I want to face my fear, Luna, and I want to do it to see my best friend. Luna listened to his voice, hearing the deep sincerity and the pain of his phobia. She tried to convince him otherwise, telling him that safety was more important than a vacation. But Leo's mind was completely made up. He wanted to conquer his trauma. The very next morning during breakfast, Leo took a deep breath. He walked up to his mother and father, who were sitting at the dining table drinking tea. "Mom, Dad, I have a request," Leo said, his voice trembling slightly. "I want to go and visit Luna for the summer vacations, but this time, I want to do it legally, with your full permission." The moment those words left his mouth, his mother's face turned pale. She slammed her teacup down on the table, her eyes wide with absolute horror. "Leo, are you insane?" his mother cried out, her voice filled with anxiety. "Do you not remember the phone call we got? Do you not remember seeing your name on an air crash passenger list? Do you want to put your father and me through that literal hell again? Absolutely not. You are staying right here in this house." Leo didn't get angry. He didn't scream or slam doors like he used to do a year ago. Instead, he sat down next to his parents and looked them directly in the eyes. "Mom, I remember every single second of that crash," Leo said softly, a tear escaping his eye. "It haunts me every night. But that's exactly why I need to do this. I have become terrified of the world. I spend all my time locked away because I am scared of flying. Dad, please understand. If I don't face this fear now, the trauma wins. I want to go, but I want you to be the ones who guide me." Leo's father sat in silence for a long time, watching his son. He saw that Leo wasn't acting out of childish obsession anymore. He was a young man trying to heal his broken confidence. After a long, heavy silence, the father placed a hand on his wife's shoulder and looked at Leo. "Okay, Leo," his father said calmly. "If you are ready to face your fear, I will support you. But under one condition, I will personally book your flight. I will choose the absolute safest, highest-rated airline, and I am buying you a VIP ticket so you are fully taken care of by the staff from the moment you check in." Hearing this, Leo's eyes lit up with pure joy. He couldn't believe it. He jumped up and hugged his parents tightly, thanking them over and over again. He immediately ran to his room, grabbed his phone, and dialed Luna's number.
"Luna, you won't believe it! My mom and dad said yes! They are booking a safe, official flight for me! I am coming to see you!" On the other side, Luna gasped in shock, but hearing how happy and brave Leo was being, her own fear began to melt away. A massive smile broke across her face. "Really, Leo? Oh my gosh, that's amazing! Hurry up and get here!" Over the next few days, the parents of both sides communicated on the phone, coordinating the dates, the hotel accommodations, and ensuring every single detail of the trip was perfectly planned and safe. The day of the flight finally arrived. Leo stood inside the bustling airport, holding his backpack tightly. Looking around at the massive terminals, his heart began to beat wildly against his ribs. The familiar cold sweat of panic started to form on his forehead. His mind tried to drag him back to the memory of the ocean water, the screaming passengers, and the darkness, but Leo took a deep, steady breath. He looked back at his parents, who were waving at him with encouraging smiles from the security gate. He muttered to himself, "No, Leo, if you run away today, you stay scared forever. Do this for yourself. Do this for Luna." He handed his VIP ticket to the flight attendant, walked down the jet bridge, and boarded the massive modern aircraft. As the engines roared to life and the plane accelerated down the runway, Leo closed his eyes tightly, gripping the armrest. The plane lifted off, soaring smoothly into the sky. An hour passed, then 2, then 3. The flight was completely, perfectly smooth.
There was no turbulence, no flickering lights, no alarms. When Leo looked out the window and saw the beautiful, peaceful clouds bathed in sunlight, a profound sense of relief washed over him. He had done it. He had conquered his greatest fear. When the plane landed safely at the destination airport, Leo walked out of the terminal with a victorious smile. And there, standing by the arrival gates, was Luna, jumping up and down with excitement. The next 2 weeks were nothing short of a dream. It was the perfect summer vacation that both teenagers had always deserved. There were no secrets, no guilt, and no lies to hide from their parents. Every single day was packed with unforgettable memories. They visited beautiful local parks, went to massive shopping malls, and explored the city's best arcade centers. In the evenings, they would sit down together at local cafes, eating ice cream and laughing about their old Roblox memories. They even brought their laptops along, sitting side by side in real life while operating their virtual characters inside Bloxburg, laughing at how funny it was to play a game about a house while sitting in a real house together. For the first time in their lives, everything felt completely normal, beautiful, and safe. They felt like ordinary teenagers enjoying the summer. But guys, as the old saying goes, sometimes the calmest seas hide the most violent storms, and their happiness was about to be cut short by an unimaginable tragedy. The 2 weeks flew by in the blink of an eye, and it was finally time for Leo to return home. As he boarded his return flight, Leo felt incredibly confident. The fear was completely gone. He sat comfortably in his seat, sipping on a cup of juice, looking out the window with a peaceful smile. In his mind, he was thinking, "Look at me now. I did it. I came here safely, and I'm going home safely. I am cured." The plane took off smoothly, climbing to its cruising altitude. Everything felt completely standard. But approximately 2 hours into the flight, the atmosphere inside the cabin drastically shifted. Without any warning, the plane gave a sudden, violent shudder. At first, the passengers didn't pay much attention, assuming it was just standard wind turbulence. But within seconds, the shaking became much worse. The plane suddenly dropped 50 feet in the air, causing luggage inside the overhead bins to rattle loudly. The calm inside the cabin instantly turned into confusion. People began looking around anxiously. Then, the plane tilted sharply to the right. In that exact moment, a cold, icy dread seized Leo's entire body. His breath caught in his throat. His hands began to tremble so violently that his juice cup spilled all over his clothes. His heart started pounding like a sledgehammer. No, please God, no, Leo thought, his mind screaming in absolute denial. Not again. This cannot be happening to me twice. This is a nightmare. Wake up, Leo, wake up! But it wasn't a nightmare. It was terrifying reality. Suddenly, the overhead oxygen masks dropped down with a loud plastic click. The main cabin lights flickered wildly before shutting off completely, leaving the entire plane plunged into a horrifying, dim, red emergency lighting. Children began to scream in pure terror. Adults started weeping, holding on to their loved ones, shouting out prayers in desperation. The flight attendants rushed to their seats, buckling themselves in as the aircraft began to shake violently, groaning under immense mechanical pressure. Leo was completely paralyzed by fear. Tears streamed down his face as he grabbed the seat in front of him with both hands, his knuckles turning completely white. He was trapped in a horrific loop of history repeating itself. "Why me?" Leo sobbed out loud, his voice lost beneath the roar of the wind outside. "What did I do wrong? I didn't steal money this time. I asked my parents. I was good. Why is this happening again?" The plane entered a steep, terrifying descent. The captain's voice came over the intercom, sounding strained and urgent, shouting for everyone to brace for impact. Chaos erupted through the cabin. People were praying, screaming, crying out for their lives. And then, a massive, deafening sound echoed through the entire frame of the aircraft. A catastrophic failure had occurred. What happened next was a blur of pure chaos, darkness, and terror. No one inside that cabin understood what hit them. Everything went completely black. A few hours later, the breaking news hit the national media channels. Back at Leo's home, his parents were watching TV, anxiously waiting for their son's flight to land. Suddenly, the broadcast cut away to an emergency news anchor. "We bring you breaking news. An aircraft traveling from the eastern coast has suffered a catastrophic mid-air emergency. Search and rescue teams have been deployed immediately to the crash site. Authorities are currently gathering the passenger manifest." The moment Leo's father heard the flight number, the remote control slipped from his hand, crashing onto the floor. His mother let out a blood-curdling scream, collapsing to her knees, clutching her chest as tears flooded her face. "No, not my boy, not my Leo!" she cried out hysterically. Leo's father, despite his own blinding tears, immediately grabbed his phone with shaking hands and dialed Luna's family to break the horrific news. When Luna heard the words "Leo's plane crashed," her entire world instantly shattered into a million pieces. She dropped her phone, falling to the floor of her living room, weeping so loudly that her throat burned. "I told him not to come!" Luna screamed through her tears, pulling at her hair in pure agony. "I told him it was dangerous! Why didn't he listen to me? Why did I let him come?" The next few days were an absolute living hell for both families. Leo's parents immediately traveled to the crisis command center near the crash site. They spent days pacing back and forth in hospital corridors, talking to Coast Guard officials, and checking every single update on their laptops. The rescue teams were working around the clock, pulling survivors out of the wreckage and transporting them to various regional hospitals. Lists of names were being published every single hour. But as the days rolled by, something incredibly strange and deeply disturbing began to happen. Leo's father checked the official list of survivors. Leo's name was not on it. He checked the list of injured passengers admitted to the local hospitals. His name was not there either. He even checked the tragic list of those who had lost their lives. Remarkably, Leo's name was missing from that list as well. Leo had completely vanished. He was not among the living, he was not among the injured, and he was not among the dead. He was completely gone, as if he had evaporated into thin air mid-flight. The police were completely baffled. The authorities searched the wreckage, but there was no trace of the 16-year-old boy anywhere. 1 week passed, then 2 weeks. The official search began to slow down. Everyone around them was starting to lose all hope. Luna fell into a deep, silent depression, staring at Leo's offline Roblox profile every night, realizing her best friend was likely lost forever in the shadows of the world. Until one stormy night. It was exactly 2 a.m. Leo's parents were sitting in their dark living room, wrapped in blankets, staring blankly at the wall. The silence in the house was heavy, like a graveyard. Suddenly, a loud, piercing sound broke the silence. It was the father's cell phone sitting on the coffee table. The screen lit up the dark room, casting a pale light over their tired faces. The father frowned, wiping a tear from his eye, and picked up the phone. He looked at the screen. There was no contact name. It wasn't the police, it wasn't the hospital, and it wasn't Luna's family. It was a completely unknown number. With a heavy heart and trembling fingers, the father swiped the screen and placed the phone to his ear. "Hello?" the father whispered, his voice cracking with exhaustion. "Who is this?" For a few seconds, there was nothing but heavy, static on the line. It sounded like the call was coming from a place very, very far away. But then, the static cleared up, and a deep, unfamiliar voice spoke through the speaker. "Hello? Am I speaking with the father of Leo?" The father's heart skipped a beat. He stood up instantly, his eyes widening. Yes, I am his father. Please, tell me, Do you know where my son is? Is he alive? The person on the other side took a deep breath, and the words that came out of his mouth next left the father completely frozen in absolute shock. Guys, who was on the other end of that phone call? What did they tell Leo's father? Is Leo secretly safe somewhere? Or has he fallen into something far more dangerous than an air accident? The mystery deepens, and the truth behind Leo's disappearance will completely blow your mind. What do you think happened to Leo? Do you think he survived? Or is someone else playing a sick game with his family? Let me know your absolute wildest theories in the comments down below. If you want to see part 5 as fast as possible, make sure to drop a like on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss the final conclusion of this disturbing Roblox saga. Stay safe, stay smart, and remember, the real world only gives you one life. I'm heading out now. See you in the next video. Goodbye.